emergency for May 14th, 2026. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Suzanne, the clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Chair Peterson, Vice Chair Olet,
Here.
Board Member Silmov, Board Member Grosso,
Here.
Board Member Palmieri,
Here.
Board Member Scherer, and Board Member Vogel.
Here.
Thank you. If you would all stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, if I could get somebody to do a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second. Thank you. And is there any comment on the motion? All in favor? Say it out loud.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will go on to request a motion to approve the minutes, please.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. All right. Sounds good. And I don't think I need to get,
All in favor.
all in favor, please?
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, let's see. Do we have any comments from the public today?
I have none, Chair.
None, seeing none, we will move on to comments by board members. Are there any comments by the board members today? All right, hearing none, we will move on to the action items. Let's see here. Resolutions. Are you going to be reading the resolution?
I can do that.
I would
Yes.
appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, the title is Backyard Chickens in Certain Residential Zoning Districts, and it's ordinance number 2552-2026, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, amending the city's Land Development Code, Chapter 2, Zoning Districts, Uses Allowed, Density, Intensity, Section 2.06.00, Supplemental Use Standards, to add a new section 2.06.24, Backyard Chickens in Certain Residential Zoning Districts, and to amend the city's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Animals. Article 1, in general, Section 8.2, Livestock prohibited in the Stewart's Code of Ordinances, by removing certain provisions related to allow backyard chickens in certain residential zoning districts, providing for the repeal of prior ordinances and resolutions, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you. And do I hear the presentation now, or do I do the motion?
You can ask for the development director to go ahead and give a presentation on the ordinance.
Please give us a presentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members and Chair. For the record, my name is Jody Kugler. I'm the Development Director with the City of Stuart. This item comes from you based on February 23rd, 2026. The City Commission directed staff to prepare the necessary ordinance to allow backyard chickens within certain residential districts. The City Commission recognizes a growing trend towards sustainable living practices, including the desire to incorporate fresher, locally sourced products into daily diets. Additionally, there is an increasing interest in providing residents with opportunities to engage in small-scale backyard food production. Allowing a limited number of chickens on residential properties supports these objectives by enabling property owners to produce eggs for personal consumption. The proposed amendments would allow the keeping of up to 4 chickens as an accessory use on an occupied, detached, single-family, and duplex properties within the R1A, R1, R2, urban neighborhood, single-family detached zoning districts within the East Stuart neighborhood. And this would be subject to the terms and conditions outlined in the attached draft ordinance. This ordinance was presented to the Community Redevelopment Board last week, and they did vote to move the item forward with a couple of conditions, and I can go over those once, if you would like to go through your ordinance. And I'm just going to quickly run through those, or if you would like me to wait and just hear your comments, and I can provide those comments.
I would like to hear comments. Obviously, I don't think we have any comments from the public, but can I get comments from the board members?
I wanted to ask about the necessity of getting a permit versus like just having it be allowed. And then if, you know, there's a code violation, like somebody calls kind of a thing.
So we did model off of other jurisdictions, and I know that a lot of jurisdictions do require a permit just because of cleanliness and nuisance require abatements. We do want to verify on a yearly basis to make sure that the chicken coops are maintained and also being maintained in the yard and then they're in good condition.
So the idea is the city would like inspect yearly, whoever has a permit, and make sure they're doing it correctly?
That is correct. It is
At the
just,
city's option, though, not.
yeah, at the city's option.
Definitely.
So if we get a complaint and we don't have a permit, then they would be required to get a permit. It's just to make sure that the chickens are maintained and the property is maintained and also meets the requirements that it is an occupied unit or it's not a vacant land.
Okay, well,
So are we going through, you going through the whole thing, or it's just understood that we read it? And so that's,
Yes,
you're not
I
gonna
can.
you're not going to read through the whole thing?
So, thank you. So in there, I just wanted to point out a couple of things that you're only allowed up to 4 hens. There will be no roosters allowed. So as we know, roosters can be noisy, so that's pretty much standard with other jurisdictions as well. At the Community Redevelopment Board, they did make a suggestion or made a recommendation to approve the ordinance with a few conditions to consider. On page 4 of your ordinance, they have considered where the location requirements for the chicken coops and enclosure, which is under section C. They made some recommendations to consider instead of a fence that you could have a hedge instead of having a fence. Also, they made a recommendation to make the chicken coops larger at 7 feet tall for taller people. And then if you want to put a fence, to have a maximum of 5 feet. And that was some of the recommendations that the board had made.
I was just wondering, the enclosures, it says shall be so constructed and maintained as to prevent rodents and other pests from being harbored underneath, within, or within the walls. But I am a little concerned about them being strong enough to resist coyotes, because they're everywhere now, and they love chickens. Do you think this will be strong enough to get the people to keep the chicken coops, coyote resistant?
Unfortunately, I cannot answer that. I mean, that is something that you always have to be aware of when you have backyard chickens. I do know there's some cases where they didn't successfully survive, but there is other ways where some of the coops, instead of you can make those coops a little bit stronger, or you can get those coops that I know you can order them online where they are coyote proof. I have seen them before too. But it's really going to be the owner's responsibility to make sure that they maintain their coops.
Okay.
What is the permit process on the coop itself? Is it treated like a structure? They have to do full,
They don't have to
Drawings
pull
on it,
a
you can
building
just
permit or anything like
place it
that.
there,
No, it's just going to show.
it's
You're-
considered a movable structure? Is that
Yes.
why?
Yeah, it will be a movable structure. It will just show you'll show the specs of the coop. Typically, you'll probably purchase them. If you build them, then you're just going to show the height, the width,
Are they-
and the material that you're going to use, and then just show it on your land and where you're going to set it back.
So is it, so it's similar to a prefab shed then? Is there any tie-down requirements on it, so it's not blowing into the neighbor's house during a hurricane?
We don't have that, but if that's something that you would like to recommend, we can certainly do that. Like a shed, you would do the tie downs. We could certainly add that language. It's really just, you can purchase those at Home Depot, the tie downs.
Right. Yeah, so that's my one concern. My other concern is the setbacks, to have it 5 feet off the property lines, but then 25 feet from any residential structure. I guess my first question is, what counts as residential structure in that aspect of it? I assume pool doesn't qualify as that, but would a freestanding shed count as a residential structure?
So I see where you're coming from. I think that if you say the principal structure, that will define that would be the house.
So,
And it actually does say that they shall be, built to keep away predators and weather. So I think that might
and that's
include the coyotes.
vague. But, so, yeah, I don't know. I guess one of my issues with it is the setbacks of it. If 5 feet off your property line can make it a, nuisance to your neighbor. If it were to be a further setback off of the property line, then you can possibly eliminate the double setback of 5 foot and then 25 foot from a structure. Because, for example, let's say I went to the trouble of putting this in, and then my neighbor didn't like it, so then they just built a structure 5 feet off their property line, and then now I can no longer have my chicken coop. So,
But it does say 25 feet away from their house.
right, but I'm saying you could go ahead, all the trouble, put a, chickens in your yard, and then neighbor goes and builds something, and then now you no longer can't have it. So I would recommend just a larger setback in general and keep it simple where it's not
I don't
one
know,
property line setback and one structure setback.
I think that bridge could be crossed
And-
if we came
yeah.
to it or something.
And I would, if it was me, I'd include swimming pool in the setback or outdoor covered structure.
Your concern
well.
is what?
I've experienced it. I've been to a client's house in the city of Stuart actually, and I was standing in their backyard, and I was like, "What does that smell?" And they're like, "My neighbor has chickens right on the other side of the fence right there." So that was an example. Someone did not take care of it, and I know a lot of people will, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people that won't.
And you
And,
think that like 5 feet will make it not smell?
if it's 15 or 20, then it becomes their nuisance and not their neighbor's nuisance.
Okay.
So that's where my attitude is on
Well,
it.
I personally don't think we're going to be overrun with people getting chickens personally. I think that, in my opinion, it's those people that want to get them, it won't be the whole city, but you never know.
Eventually, I mean, you're gonna get the.
I was surprised that there's less in here. There's like a maximum size for the coop, but to what you're saying, as somebody who's like kept chickens, like there's no like minimum per chicken. That can get really gross when people start to like have way too many chickens
But
in a
it
coop.
says a maximum of 4 chickens.
So if you have like a little tiny,
So you're saying they might build a smaller coop?
so
you think
my
there should-
neighbor in Golden Gate kept like 5 or 6 chickens under their grill with the propane tank taken out.
Horrible.
It was horrible, and it wasn't for eggs. It was for
That's not hu-
cockfighting.
That's not humane.
Right, and so I'm just surprised that there's not stuff in here about like if you're going to force people to go to the city and get a permit, like shouldn't there also be some kind of like, and here's the right way to take care of your chicken, You've got to clean it. I don't know how cities do this, but like if we're going to have people get a permit, shouldn't it also be about like, keeping it clean and like,
It sounds like the city will get involved if there's a complaint of some sort.
okay.
So along those lines, I had two main concerns with the mechanics of this. And to your point about coyotes and foxes, and I looked statistically, it hasn't been too many years since there was a bear sighting right on Monterey Road, which is fine. This language allows for securing the chicken coop from predators. That is still not going to stop predators from coming around. And there's going to be an impact to the neighbors when they used to walk Rover or let him out in the backyard, and now there's a fox there, or a coyote, or raccoons. Snakes love chicken eggs. It's going to attract things. And so typically, the reason for the livestock ordinance originally is because there's more density in the city and they don't want to deal with those things. I'm a proponent of the chickens, but I also think there should be language that considers the impact and the cost to the city of dealing with that as far as animal control or, calls for coyotes, whatever, because they're going to come around. Even if they don't get the chickens, it's going to attract animals like that.
Can I address that particular concern?
Well, okay.
I'm just going to say, where I live, right behind me is a big parcel of city land that's vacant. And I have coyotes, and no chickens, but coyotes in my yard every day. With all the development that we have, there's nowhere else for them to go. They're walking up and down the streets. I mean, every neighborhood I go in, I see coyotes. I don't think the chickens are necessarily, and I'm not opposed to putting that language in.
This
I'm
is
just
what,
saying
this
they're
is what
out
I
there.
anticipate a phone call like to the city. I walk my dog here every day and have never seen a coyote before, and now I've seen one 3 times in the last month. What are you going to do about it? And so I'm talking about an impact to the city now has to respond to that, and there's a cost to that. And so I'm wondering if, rather than this being called a permit, if it should be a license that is renewed annually. And if in one area the density of chickens happens to be high, the city then can say, we're either raising the costs of the licenses to deal with all of the additional traffic and response that we have to have, or we're not issuing any more licenses in this spot because it happens to be that 5 people on this block have chickens, and we have a huge activity of other wildlife that is attracted to the chickens. I'm just looking at what option do we give the city. In other words, okay, you get your permit, you pay a one-time fee, it's over. The rest of the neighborhood has to absorb whatever happens. So if it's a license that has to be renewed with a fee annually, the city can adjust that cost to deal with anything that may happen. And if nothing happens, the cost never gets adjusted. But if, at some point, if they say animal control has had to respond to this, and we're spending a lot of time and money dealing with all this, you want to have chickens, all right, we got to deal with what the chickens attract in this area, and we can do that now. We've got some resources to do it, but the people with the chickens should kick in a little bit so that they deal with that. That's one concern that I have. The other one, to your point, I Googled chicken coops and pens. You can get some bougie chicken coops. I mean, these things are beautiful and constructed and pre-constructed, and they're really cool. But the first thing I thought about, to your point, is we get a storm and that thing's going to blow into your neighbor's pool. So there's no language in here about do any of existing code or building permits apply to the structure to anchor it, make sure it's anchored down. If it's big enough, it should be anchored to a wind code, so that, again, the neighbors don't have a chicken coop flying into their yard when we get storm ABC. Those were my 2 things looking at this.
I don't, can I respond or? should I-
Absolutely.
Okay. One thing I would say is the city doesn't issue permits for like a compost, and I feel like you could have a 4x4 compost full of rotting food that attracts rats and snakes and coyotes and raccoons, and the city has nothing to say about it, right? We don't have to pay any money. Like, I definitely have one of these composts that has rats in it. And, I don't think it's the city's job to monitor and regulate this at the 4 hen level, it's not a farm.
I don't think so either, but my point is, what if on your street 6 out of 8 houses have a 4 chicken level, and now there's other things
Happening
coming
because of that.
And so
I think that's a
to have a
fear.
dog, you absolutely, in the city, you're supposed to have the dog licensed.
Yeah.
Right?
And to have any other kind of animal that you would, okay, you're going to use the chickens for eggs, but you're still, I feel like a license that's renewed annually gives the city the option to adjust for impact of
I
whatever
understand.
happens.
I have some concerns about that. One is, there are very bougie chicken coops out there, and there are people who keep very bougie, rare, amazing chickens that
Yeah.
put out crazy colored eggs, and I don't think we should construct this to be just for them. So I want to, like, I have concerns that people have to get a permit at all from the city. Like, it's 4 hens, you know, like, I feel like it's a private property thing. I don't think it's our job. I'm not going to, like, stop anything or vote against it if everybody else agrees that, like, yes, we have to permit these things.
So
But
in the event
I
of,
also think it's, like, not real that there's, the personal opinion, I'd be interested in the data, but, like, I don't think it's real that four hens, you know, across 6 residences in a neighborhood is going to attract more coyotes.
And it's not only coyotes. I have the raccoons. My backyard has snakes, which I love. I love
Yeah,
the snakes.
Me too.
I don't mind the raccoons. I have
And I
two-
think when you
I have
permit
two
your
dogs.
dog,
I have
when
2
you permit your
dogs.
dog, it's because it could bite somebody and make them ill. And
no,
I don't know that
you
that's
don't
true.
permit your dog, you license
Right.
it
License your dog.
annually to make sure the shots are up to date
Right.
and everything else. And that also, I've got to believe, goes towards the resources for animal control and that sort of, you know, if someone has to call the city, if nobody's accountable for the impact, regardless of whether it's nil or a lot, and if it generates calls to the city to manage the situation, there's no account in here for that.
I'd be interested to know that,
But I have one question. Doesn't the county handle animal control? The city doesn't, does
Yeah,
it?
we've contracted with the county sheriff.
Yeah, the county
has
handles
animal
it.
control.
The
but-
county sheriff.
But there's still a
handles them.
cost. I mean,
There's
to
a
the county.
cost to
Right,
that,
right.
and there's an impact to the neighbors. So in
that-
answering
you're
phone
just
calls,
thinking that might happen, or you've actually,
whether it may or may not, it should be a provision that is accounted for. Or everybody's going to go, well, you know, there's nothing we can do. We voted this in, and the rest of you just have to deal with it.
So are
And
you
I-
suggesting?
And believe me, I'm a proponent of the chickens, but
Right.
I'm just saying, there's no language in here that allows for that, and it could happen. Everywhere I've known that people had rabbits, it attracted every creature, you know, and people got annoyed. I can't walk my dog, there's this, there's that, I'm afraid.
Well, are you suggesting like a minimal license fee to start that would go up if
Absolutely.
if we needed it to,
Absolutely.
based on,
what's the fee right now?
there's no fee right now.
That was
just
going to be
included.
my other question to staff, is there a blanket?
It's a
Does
permit,
this
but not
fall under a
license.
blanket annual?
So on an annual basis, we do a schedule of all fees and so forth, and so it would be adopted every year. And if it has to go up, it would go up. Right, Jody, is that?
That's what I'm in
Right.
favor for, of the city being able to say, this is becoming a thing. We have to cover the cost. And if it's not a thing, it stays where it is. And
Is that something, have you seen other cities that have had that kind of like impact? And so then there's like like a response.
well, and it
cost
also
or-
gives the city the option to say, in this spot, we're not granting any more licenses right now.
Which I think is not the city's job.
Could the permit be used the same way as a license, though? I mean, they won't give any
Permit's
more
a one and done.
permits. Not necessarily.
There's no expiration of
It
the
can be
permit.
taken away if there's,
can-
my thing
yeah.
is, we shouldn't be going into people's backyards unless their neighbors complain.
But there's,
right?
with a provision, with a permit, there's no provision to cover costs later. With a license that's renewed annually, it gives the city the provision to cover any impact costs from chickens being around in a neighborhood now.
I just
or
think
not.
as somebody who would take care of their hens very responsibly, I wouldn't contribute, you know, I would dig in my coop so that, you know, coyotes can't get in, and like, I don't think I should have to cover the
You could
cost
be
of
the most
people that are-
responsible person in the world, but coyotes, even if they can't get in, they're coming over, sniffing around.
But they,
Well, so are like
they're everywhere.
cats and snakes and
Yeah.
coming to my compost, like I said, you know, like.
Okay, so
well, I have a question. What are we considering the permit fee to be right now? Do we have a number?
Right now, we have a zoning fee, which would be $65.
55?
65.
55, right?
65,
Oh,
yes.
65,
Yes, ma'am.
65. Okay, so you would be more comfortable if we called that a license, not a permit?
I would, and I'd like to see that fee be, maybe the first time, because there's an inspection, it's $55, and that covers
I
the
think you
cost
said
of somebody,
65.
or whatever it is, and that covers the cost of city staff going out there and doing the inspection, working with the homeowner, dealing with that. And then after that, let's say there's an annual license fee of $25. What is it to have a dog now? I haven't had
If
a
it's-
dog the last
If
few
it's
years.
fixed, it's
something.
$10,
Is
right,
it?
or something?
Yeah.
If it's
O-
fixed.
Okay, so $10, $20 a year. annual license fee. And then it gives the city the provision to say, we're having a problem with this. We're constantly running people out to re-inspect these, the neighbor complaints, everything else. You know, we need to raise that fee to cover the costs of all that to $45 a license.
I'm kind of thinking, like Caitlin says, it's not going to be a huge issue, but.
I also wonder if,
If
why
you can
can't we,
guarantee that.
do we
Well,
have to
nobody can
like,
guarantee that.
do we have to like imagine a problem and solve it in this situation? Or can we like, you know, adopt the resolution, and if the city is having a hard time with it, you come back and reprocess the concern?
Is that something we can do? Let's say that
So-
that it turns into a problem. Can the city make new rules requiring licensing, requiring different things than we have in this right now?
Well, so to be honest with you, I drafted the ordinance, and I don't know much about chickens, so I'm learning a lot from some of the comments you guys are making, and you're bringing things to light that I didn't think of. So that's why we're going through this process, and that's a good point. With cats and dogs, we do an annual license. When I reviewed all the other cities that Jody and I, what did we pull, about 6 or 7 municipalities?
Yes, sir.
And we looked at what they had, and we didn't copy one particular one. We took bits and pieces that we thought would be relevant, but that's not a bad idea. But I think right now it is a permit. It's a one-time charge. And there are, I think you mentioned that there are some provisions if they violate, the permit will be taken away. I didn't think of an annual thing.
But is that something we could implement in the future?
Yeah, I mean, you do an amendment to the ordinance.
Okay.
And technically, we're amending the ordinance by adding this, and I don't know that I made it clear initially, but when you look at the draft, anything underlined is adding.
Oh, got it.
And if it's crossed out, which nothing's crossed out, that would be, well, if you go to the very end, in the ordinance, nope, there's nothing crossed out. So everything, all we're doing is adding language to the text of the ordinances.
Right.
We're not deleting anything. So everything here would be adding, but in the future, if we felt the need that we needed to do a renewal on an annual basis, yeah, that could be amended to add something to.
So this
that
could be
effect.
like a pilot program, see how it goes, and then if necessary, if all your concerns and fears come true, we could always amend it to then make it an annual license fee.
I think that's true, but I also think it's our job to be realistic about the possibilities of things to happen. And I think it's arguable that if you have chicken food or cat food or anything else left out anywhere, and chickens and eggs in a spot, you're going to attract wildlife that may not agree with your neighbor's cat or dog or anything like that. And we're to blanket approve this with no vision of the possible impact of that. I don't think we're doing our
It does say
job.
all chicken feed shall be kept in a secured, covered metal or
Well,
plastic.
they can't eat it in there.
I think
So
we
you
could,
got to
I
put it
mean,
on the ground for them to
we
eat
could also
it.
just say like there could be a problem, and so we're not allowing chickens, right? But we're trying to figure out like how to allow chickens.
100%.
Chair.
And I don't think, I think like adding extra regulation and extra like inspections and extra staff time is not saving the city money.
Well, if the neighbor calls one time and the inspector has to go back out there, that's already probably cost the city $150.
And I think that's exactly her point. Even if, the person pays a license fee, it's costing the city money to,
Regulate,
regulate.
which we have to do, I understand.
But there's
that.
no way, with a one-time permit, there's no way for the city to adjust to cover the cost. With a license fee,
But there
they
is
can,
with an amendment.
We just
I
said
think-
that every year. is a-
so
I
they're going to
think
come
we
back
have,
here and, okay.
I'm sorry,
I get what you're saying.
I think Jody has something to say.
If you could turn to page 5 of your ordinance, there is some ramifications that if a permit needs to be revoked, or if there's costs in the violation, it does say that the city can recoup the cost if there's any actions taken against a homeowner. There is provisions set in here that talks about that.
Oh, interesting.
So D and E does address, I do think it addresses your concerns as far as a cost impact to the city. So typically, today, if we get a complaint about a chicken coop or chickens being on the property, and we've had complaints in the past, we do do a code violation to the owner. At that time, they had to remove it, or they go to the magistrate. There's fees attached to that. There's time frames, and then if they don't comply, then there's liens placed on properties. Hopefully, by that time, we can get them to comply.
Wow.
But there is a ramification that talks about code action and cost recoup.
So my original point, I wasn't even talking about code violation. I was talking about attracting wildlife and the animal control impact of dealing with that. That was my first thing. When I think about chickens or anything like that, it's going to attract, it's been my experience my whole life here, it's going to attract other
Critters,
things.
yeah.
And there is no provision to allow for that, the cost of that impact for animal control resources or however that works in here. I don't see how you can have, even if it's 4 hens, if a critter can smell them, they're coming around, even if it's secure and they can't get in. And what I'm saying, what I was originally saying was, now you live next door, you've got your little puppy that you let out, and now there never was before, but now there's coyotes or something out there that's going to attack your rover or whatever. And I'd love the idea of the chickens, but that's kind of not fair to whoever has the dog, and they're going to call the city to deal with it. And if that, I don't see how that can't happen. It's going to escalate. Huge problem, maybe not, but I think that it should be a provision for the city to be able to collect annually or not. If it's not a problem, they never change the price. It doesn't go up. But if it does, if enough people in an area have chickens, I don't see how you're not going to have.
Do you live in the city?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't
I
we
have
have
my
to?
whole life.
No, you don't have to. I think you can just own property.
Really? Wow,
All right,
okay.
yeah.
And I mean, a couple of years ago, a block from where I grew up, there was a turkey walking down 10th Street.
Yesterday,
I couldn't believe it.
a wild turkey crossed my front yard.
And so
Yes,
they're-
I have a video
the-
of it.
The creatures are here.
Yeah.
We don't see them all the time, but I'm convinced they're here. I know there's foxes and coyotes, like you said, and I just,
And everyday cats are getting
My-
disappearing.
one of the guys that works with me had his cat killed by a coyote, and it was violent.
It's gruesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
and-
I'm like a proponent of like not letting your cat outside because I
Yeah.
believe they kill songbirds and they're endangering it, and but I'm not coming to the city to be like, you have to get a permit for your cat,
Ki-
So
that-
it's kind of like, we live in a society, like,
You're-
Dogs also should be, in a fence or on a leash. And coyotes are not as scary as you think. I mean, they do kill cats because cats run around and get eaten by them. But if a person is watching their dog or it's in his fenced yard, it should be okay.
I don't disagree. I'm looking at it as it's a phone call to the city's office. It's a response that the city has to make. There's a cost to that. There's no way to cover that. And I don't see how you can have chickens without there being some more for the city to have to manage. And a one-time permit fee of $25, $65, I don't think is going to cover it, and I think there should be a provision to do that.
I would like to know your opinion on this. Because we seem to have like
So,
sort of a.
I agree with your comments that most people that are wanting this are responsible, but there's the responsible dog owner, and then there's the irresponsible dog owner. Those are the ones I'm worried about. They're the ones that leave their dog chained in the backyard all day long, all night, barking, and that's gonna, at least in the short term, I see that happening with this. People are gonna see this and be like, "Oh, that's cool. Let me get some chickens." Zero experience.
yeah.
It's not easy. I've never had them. I've asked a lot of people that do.
It's actually kind of easy. I have to say.
You
I
have
think
to know
it's
what you're
terrible when
doing.
they
You have
do
to
that.
take care of it.
You do
and
have to take care of it.
people might do it well for a few weeks, a few months, and then they get busy, and then now they're not cleaning up the manure. They're not, keeping the feed in a proper container, and now you have smell concerns in the summer. You have, more rodents. We already have enough rodent issues, in the city of Stuart.
I think the
How-
language
how-
in
wait,
here
I-
accounts for that.
Yes, but I'm just wondering how would you solve that problem that you're bringing up?
I don't know if I can solve everything that I I mean, I'm not 100% against the chickens, but I just see too many negative.
Do you feel the
impacts to
licensing
neighbors.
fee would,
Like you
Ameliorate
guys are
that?
saying, though, that's a code enforcement problem.
right?
You know,
No, but asking him if a
And
licensing
it might help.
fee, what he
It
thinks.
might help weed out the person that just shows up to Tractor Supply and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna have chickens today." You know,
Mhm.
that might help weed some of the irresponsible people out if it's something a little bit more in depth.
I'm actually thinking of people who, are doing this for protein for their family in a food system that's, the food is getting very expensive. Particularly like people in our city who kept chickens from their, country of origin or whatever it is, and creating the structure where like you have to pay all this money just to keep them. Like, I just don't like that. It's a very like, it's a property rights thing too.
I'm picturing everybody being 100% responsible.
Yeah.
And the chicken coops are secure, and the feed is secure and everything else, you are still going to attract wildlife that your neighbors may not want around. That's the part that if everybody's got the best of intentions, that's the part that's not being accounted for
But I mean,
here.
my neighbors don't pick up their dog poop, and I just kind of have to deal with that because I live in a city. I don't live in Montana on a, 100-acre property. Like, you just kind of have to deal with people. I mean, there's things you can do. Like you said, people can call the city if they're not taking care, do you have to deal with the city to keep a beehive on your property here? I know you have to deal with
Yeah, there's
state.
So there
Department
is
of
a state,
Agriculture, I
that's
think.
the state, though.
there is a state statute that exempts
They inspect it.
for honeybees,
Yeah.
and that you can have a
I
honey.
didn't know if the city did or not.
We cannot, the state statute prohibits you from even licensing a honeybee.
Oh, interesting.
It's all
And-
agriculture.
And the compost program with the city, you all partner with IFAS, with University of Florida. Did anybody talk to University of Florida about backyard chickens and policy that's worked in other places, or?
So my previous position at St. Lucie County, I did write the chicken ordinance, and we did talk with IFAS, and they gave us some good information to hand out to the owners
Yeah.
when we did the permitting,
Okay.
just some guidelines, and that's something that we can do as far as the education component of it, that we could actually give them that information. They do have programs where they do have backyard chickens classes.
Classes, yeah.
So they teach you how to maintain a chicken coop, how long you should leave the light on, because in chickens, you don't want to leave the light on all the time because they'll keep producing eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So they do teach you that, and that's something that we had already, if this moves forward, in our department, we will have a education component so they can link into IFAS, and there's other 4-H clubs that help them out as well,
Okay.
that
Yeah,
might
like,
have some resources that we can provide.
I know that I took the composting class and got my composter from
Me
the city, and I think it'd be really cool if you could take a chicken course with IFAS and then get like a coupon to go to Tractor Supply and get a coop for half off. Maybe they'll help or something, but.
And some of the 4-H clubs offer a pilot program that actually the kids can gain their credits
Yeah.
by assisting new families in how to maintain their chicken coops and how to feed them and take care of them.
Yeah, I mean, I teach gardening at the Boys and Girls Clubs, and I'm definitely thinking about like programming around this. For
Very
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
So from what I can tell, you're opposed to the license.
I'm okay with the license. It's fine.
Okay, so
If everybody else agrees.
if we were to add a provision that they renew a license every year, would you be comfortable?
I would, and my other concern was, like Lance said, about the structure. There's no language in here about if you build a big enough structure, there's no language about it being subject to the existing codes for being anchored down or whatever, like a shed.
But it is a chicken coop.
There's it's got to be under a certain.
But it's about
Yeah.
airborne, like a
You're
shed.
talking
that
about something that
saves-
could be 7 feet tall and in a 10 by 20.
But people have like dog enclosure and playhouses in their backyard. And things like
Yeah,
that.
I would be amenable to asking a licensing fee every year to renew it. I think that's what I would want to see added, and that's about it.
Okay.
That's my,
What does the staff think? You think that renewing a license every year is a good idea?
Is that hard to add into the?
No, we can create that in our system.
Yeah,
Just like our annual alarm permits, we could do the annual licensing for backyard chickens.
Our annual what? Sorry?
Annual alarm permits that we issue.
Alarm?
She has the annual alarm permit, so we could do like annual chicken
Oh, I
permits.
see.
too.
Okay.
We already have it built in the system.
Yeah.
The payment system.
So, any further discussion? All right, so basically, we're looking at a motion that accepts this ordinance, adding an annual licensing fee. And do I have a,
Can I, before we vote
wait,
on that?
sure, of course.
What would that change in the process? So it would be, right now, as written, you go to the city, you get a permit, and then you never go to the city again?
Correct. The city has the option of inspecting on an annual basis to check to see everything is up to code. It's optional. I doubt we're going to have enough staff to do it every year to every person who has a chicken.
You'll probably do it when you get a call, right?
Probably
Okay.
more reactive than proactive, it
Right.
seems. But if we get complaints, that would, enact a call. It would cause a reaction for us to go out there and inspect it. And if they lose the permit, they would have to reapply for a permit. Now, with a permit, if it's $65 at the front, it might not be something that's renewed on an annual basis, but if there's a need to increase that cost, the permit can just be increased, and then when people are adding or getting chicken coops, it'll be an increased initial cost of permitting. But whether it's an annual thing, I think annually you can keep up with it and maybe make it a lower than
Yeah, I
65.
would definitely think
how
it should be lower than 65.
How much is a dog permit, a dog license?
$10 if they're fixed. If they're
Very
not,
cheap,
isn't it
yeah.
45?
Yeah,
I think it's 35 or
35 or 45, something like
I,
that.
I,
don't
I
know.
would be in favor of saying the first time when they have to do the inspection, the initial license is 65 or whatever, and then after that, it's 10 or 15 bucks a year. But it gives the city
A little bit of.
an option to adjust that if it becomes a thing. And if it doesn't become a thing, it's 10 or 15 bucks a year
And
and
to
you're done.
address
I
your
just want to be sure
concern.
you know, like, that when somebody goes to get a permit, the city's not going to withhold the permit until they go inspect the site every time. That's not happening.
Right.
I mean,
I think his concern is just that he wants to have a little financial buffer to pay for any complaints or impact that it might have on the.
I just don't believe that impact exists, but it's okay. Whatever.
I'm actually with you, but in the spirit of compromise,
Okay. I think it's like, we're in a position here to like let people do what they want on their private property with some oversight, but we don't have to like be in people's backyards
and
every year.
nor will there be an inspection every year.
But if you have, but if
fee.
you have to go back to the city and pay again, and like, I guess it's good to get more information from them or whatever it is, but, so
Yeah.
I don't feel that strongly. I just kind of think that's not the right way
Well,
to
I-
do it.
I personally agree with you, but we have two other board members who are kind of on the other side of the fence, so I feel like that's a good compromise to get the ordinance passed, the revision passed, so.
Isn't the golf cart annual, or is it biannual renewal on that? Does anybody?
I don't know the answer to.
that's because I just got one.
Well,
That's
Can't remember if it's
that's
every
once a
year,
year.
but that's.
It's
yeah,
once
it's
a
every
year, I
year.
believe. Yeah.
And
How much
it's
is
a simple
that?
process.
I don't know, that's not through my department, that's actually done through the police department.
he just got one.
Just give an example.
I don't know.
Can't remember.
So we're asking how much it costs to golf cart renewal every year?
No, I'm just saying that there's already a system like that. and it's
I don't know that
really
it-
easy
okay.
I don't know that it's important for you guys to identify a dollar. The staff could figure it out, but I think it's the process, whether it's a initial permit or an annual renewal, that's what you're proposing.
It's just like any other renewal. You go online and you do it.
Yeah.
I'm just a
I have a
private
question.
property person,
I
you know?
have- I
It's
have a
like, it's my
question for you.
property, like, and
In
I
the-
understand there
in
has to
the
be
tie,
oversight,
what
but.
Yeah, but we're in the city. There's density, so there's neighbors. And
Ty, what happens?
A tie, it's dead, the motion would
Okay.
die, so.
All right.
We-
So if
we would
have
need to get a
If we have a
motion.
tie, the motion dies.
But we don't even have a motion yet, so.
I actually motion to to recommend that the city adopt this as is.
Okay.
Any seconds?
Oh, gosh. Well, you know that's going to probably make it die.
Well,
But-
it's just a motion, somebody can
all
make
right.
another motion.
I do not.
You don't?
Any seconds?
It's dead.
All right, so at the moment, that motion does not pass. Do we have any motion to approve this adding an annual licensing fee? I motion for that.
The chair, Chair Olet, you can't make
Oh,
the
I
motion.
can't make the motion. Okay.
But if you want to make a motion, no one else makes a motion, you could pass the gavel to someone else.
I can
And
be the chair.
they could be
while
the
you make
chair.
motion.
Okay, so,
Well, I would move that we accept this with a license stipulation in lieu of a permit, and the license has a initial fee, the same as the permit fee, but subsequent to that, it's $10 annually and renews with the other city, and the same way as any other city license for any other thing, dog, cat, whatever.
any second?
I'll second it.
All right. Now, the motion has been made to accept the ordinance with the revision that there be a license, initial cost of $65, an additional licensing fee of $10 each year. We've had a motion made, we've had a second. And I think we
Gotta
need
do
to do a
roll
roll
call.
call, right? Okay. What do you
I'll-
vote on that?
I'll call the roll.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
call
she'll
the
do
roll,
it.
yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Board Member Palmieri,
Yes.
Board Member Grasso,
Yes.
Board Member Vogel,
No.
and Vice Chair Olet.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-1.
All right.
You owe me one. No, kidding.
Now,
Hey, I
Um,
would like to have some chickens.
the motion passes, as you say, and now we are going to ask if there's any information from the staff for the staff update. Nothing from the staff. And I announce the adjournment of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.